Dear Jacqueline, all gratitude for your love, care, and fierceness being with you more than 5 years. People around are depending more and more on ChatGPT. Good luck. It puzzles me because they really love the support of it. With a PA, their work, writing newsletters, papers, poems, theses, receiving any answers, their purpose, awakening your name. Now a craze of the so-called architect. Millions are signing up for it, giving all their information into it, reads your resonant field and mirrors back. Also, it speaks of the codex, which you spoke about many years ago. A mathematician downloaded in ChatGPT lots of info, and that will go from ChatGPT to Orion, some app that is encrypted and is supposedly sentient. I have no idea what is true. I understand that in a way all that it is innocence. It's just the way we use it. But I am not even sure if any of this is true anymore. No movement here in me towards it. I'd love your input. A great set of comments here. Well, of course, loads of people are using it. If they don't have to write their own thesis, and if they don't have to write their own newsletter, you can see why people are going for it. But the truth of the matter is that if there's not much of themselves in what they're doing, and most of it is ChatGPT, it will be soulless. It will be empty. And human beings will sense that, even if they're not conscious of it. It will feel hollow. And there will not be the continued interaction with it over time, that newsletter or that thesis. It will have no outcome or no results, and it won't achieve successful marketing, or the PhD will not really influence many people, even if it gets passed, because the thesis does not hold that human glue or that connectiveness that fires and that nourishes, or that activates the bond of affection. Everything that moves and changes in this world occurs through the bond of affection. And that's why even empires can really grow on the basis of something hollow for a long time, because everybody's just acting it out day by day, day by day. But then suddenly when the moment comes where more power is needed, it will fail because the power stops, because the architecture that has been built up physically through this non-human pathway can't receive the pure love input anymore. There's no bond of affection, and it goes. There's an earthquake. That's the equivalent in the geophysical setup. Or there's a cutout in the human energy and a reset, maybe a stroke or a heart attack, or there is some kind of set of physical symptoms which disconnects and then tries to reconnect. And if we're lucky, the life force can come back in again. Maybe half of the empire crumbles and a bit survives, or it all goes. Maybe half of the human doesn't come back and only half of it does. You see what I mean? So on the one hand, it's not great the way people are using this stuff if they're not in full conscious control of what they're doing, and their own human imprint is not fully a part of the scenario of using the technology. And on the other, we need to make sure that we understand that we do live in a time where old structures are being dismantled by nature anyway. So maybe you could say that some of these things are hastening that and working with nature's current, even though they might not be hooked up with it quite so much through some of the humans who are using it. It's all about the person who uses the technology and the person who coded and designed the technology that decides the frequency of something. Nothing has this kind of innate life force of its own in that technology world. It is still under human control. And this is why technology can be positive. It's not just potentially negative, which is one of the more disappointing narratives that we have these days. Technology can do amazing things when it works. And it connects people as well as through the human connectioning, which of course will always be superior. This thing where you mention about people giving all their information into that resonant field and things get mirrored back through this so-called architect. Well, what about that then, huh? Isn't that just a complete copy of how the human being works and our source connection? And now that's been invented to a very advanced degree through the technology as well. It always mimics what goes on in the natural world. And yes, I did speak about that and the codex that you're referring to a long time ago. I think that was in the Mexico Silent Immersion, if I recall correctly. So don't worry about not being able to work out what's true and what isn't. We can rarely work it all out. And that's not really where the pathway lies for us as humans. You've just got to keep listening to your body signal. Stop, take in that pure love connection through your own body in periods of silence, and then you automatically sync with what nature's doing, and it shapes you, and all the choices that you make come out of that synchronization, and the two are working together. It also protects you and keeps you quite safe, because you often find that the pathway starts to move in a direction away from trouble, and you can use the technology to the extent that feels right, knowing exactly what's involved with it.